because I felt insecure that I wasn't like Daniel or like anyone
I
else who is like...
contributed to her insecurity.
No, like...
no.
Even if you killed someone, I still love you for who you are. Yeah.
Wow.
And of course, I never done such a thing. But you know,
No one suspected you, huh? But there was a time I had center parting. And then the comments was like, please don't do center parting.
So do you think you look center? You comment down below.
And, 5 stars
Whatever,
for
it's
Daniel's
okay.
hair, 5 stars.
And later it made me insecure. Wow. Hello everyone, welcome to the third episode of Hate Too Hard.
Head to Heart, a Christian podcast for young people by young people to help move our faith from our head to our heart. I'm Rachel.
I'm Daniel and we're your hosts for this podcast.
If you have tuned in for the first 2 episodes, thank you so much for joining us. And if you're new here, welcome to the podcast.
And if you have been blessed by the podcast, we would like to invite you to like, share and subscribe so that others might be blessed like you too. So for today's episode, we have 2 guests. We have Jane and Pastor Chen Rong. So
Hi.
welcome.
Good to see you all.
Okay, so maybe you can invite Jane to introduce yourself.
Hello, my name is Jane. I am 26 this year and I'm currently working as a youth worker.
Okay, and Pastor Chen Rong.
Hi, I'm Chen Rong and I'm 33, pastoring the church in Balestier.
Okay, so welcome to today's episode. And actually today, right, usually when we prepare for the podcast, we prepare like 1 or 2 weeks in advance, right? But today, knowing that Pastor Chen Rong and Jane is coming, our preparation was quite last minute because we're just so comfortable with them, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, how do you know Jane
Both
and
of them.
Pastor? Yeah, how do you know them?
I know Pastor because he my church pastor.
Okay. Wait, so how many years do you know him really? Like, how long was he your church pastor?
Sorry, cannot answer that.
Pastor, do you remember how long you have been? How long have you known Rachel?
We know since more than 10 years ago, but more recently since I came back from studying the last 8 years.
Oh. Okay. Then how do you know Jane?
I know Jane because she worked for the church. Then never mind, easier to say I know her because of Thompson Church.
Oh, because you come to Thompson,
I went to Thompson
Church. And then
yeah,
Jane's
then I
there.
know Jane. Yeah.
Ah, okay. So actually, I know Jane for about 6 or 7.
He getting his years wrong again.
20.
8 lah.
About 8 years.
8, 9.
But honestly, right, when I first met Jane, right, I was quite scared of her. Because Jane, at that time, she was in secondary school. She looked like an alien.
Wow.
Poly.
No, secondary school. Poly? Okay, Poly.
I think it's Poly.
Poly. She looked like alien. Her hair all gold color, like some gold light.
Don't have
not
gold
ah,
colour.
okay, whatever lah. Huh?
Highlights,
then,
highlights.
no, but she also don't really smile a lot at that time. Yeah. So when I see her in church, right, I don't need to talk to her.
Yeah, he doesn't talk to me last time.
Like at all.
Yeah.
So I think I've gone to the church for about like 3 or 4 years. I never spoke to Jane at all. I only talked to Jane more after we both ended up in Sanyu, where we worked there as a youth worker. Yeah, then it's like, wow, should I try to talk to her? Try not. Both now same office already, right? So talk to her. Then it's like, oh, so this is Jane. Pastor said last time he told me before that he actually knew me since I was in secondary school or JC, right?
It was 2014 when I came back there for a year before I went to study.
Yeah, but sorry, I have zero recollection of you at that time.
Yeah, I was 8.
Oh, but I knew you when you were still.
I also knew you. I didn't know your name was Daniel.
Oh.
I knew you as saxophone guy.
Because
Because every time he would play special music, right?
Yeah,
then
yeah.
he would go to the AV room and clean his saxophone. So then I would sit in the AV room because I'm always with Uncle Chin. So I'm sitting in the AV room. Then I would just watch him clean his saxophone.
Oh, you guys were from the same church?
Yeah,
Three of you.
I knew her since she was like a toddler, or before that, when she was still a baby.
Yeah. So what was your first impression of Daniel?
When I first met Daniel, I also scared of him.
Cannot be.
Not really
I
scared
always
lah,
very
but-
smiley one.
No.
She really-
I thought you were quite judgmental, your face.
Wow.
Then I was very scared to talk to you, to go up to you. Yeah. So I also didn't.
Maybe I'm
Always a
judgmental
mix.
because you always don't smile. So I judge your face.
It's a mutual thing, lah.
Yeah. Okay, it's fair.
Mm,
No, but after we worked together, your impression changed.
of course.
Oh, yeah. See,
Yeah.
that's all
Became
that
good
matters, right?
friends after
Oh
that.
yes.
Yeah.
So much good friends that they can always tease each other, you know.
Insult?
Oh.
That's only Jane. I don't really insult Jane. That's only.
Oh, I see.
Only I insult Jane. So you are youth worker and pastor, right? How is it like working for in a church community or in a church environment?
For me, I've always wanted to do things for God. And so the advantage is you get to do this the full time rather than just limited, right, because you have other work to do. Right? I think the idea of working at church as a pastor is to be a shepherd. So you do things like visiting people, sharing God's word with them, pray with them, right? And also lead the church forward in different activities and moving forward in that direction. I think that's for me the most rewarding part of serving, to see changed lives, right? And I think that's the beautiful part.
I think as for being a youth worker, it's like a little glimpse to being like a pastor, kind of. Because my job also requires me to support like the local church youth ministries, a lot of mentoring, giving Bible studies to youths. For me, it's very meaningful. It's nice to see when someone is growing in their personal life and in their spiritual walk with God.
So you have all mentioned the good parts, right?
Coming.
Maybe there are some people who might think that working in a church environment is like all positivity because we're close to God and doing God's work and all that. But were there times in your line of work where actually you felt like, wow, this is super tiring, or like were there even points where you feel like, oh, I actually don't want to do this anymore?
We only share the good parts because we want you to join the work.
Wow.
Okay.
Good advertisement.
On a more serious note, I think church work, like any other work, I think has its challenges. But I think even more than other lines of work, because it is to do with God, right? So naturally, the adversary, the devil, will try to attack and make it harder. Right? For me, what keeps me going is to remember my calling. God calls me, and so if He haven't given up on me, I don't give up on myself. And I think that's the same for each person, right, who continues to work. That I think God, when He doesn't give us, we don't have to give up ourselves. Unless when you want to give up, you pray to God, God, show me a new way, and then maybe and then you can move somewhere else.
For me, sometimes I question myself whether I am doing this because it's a job or is it because I truly enjoy doing it. A lot of my work is like ministry based, right? And then sometimes I question whether I will do it if this is not part of work. We plan our own schedules, right? So sometimes I ask myself, if I'm not working in this job, would I pack my schedule like this? Like what Pastor Chiron also said, sometimes you get a bit discouraged or drained. Sometimes it feels like when I see someone better, then I will feel like, am I the right person for this?
So it's interesting that you're talk about it. I mean, it's also a new perspective for many people who do not know about this side of a job. Like they might think that the job is always very positive and there's all the blessings and all that. But just like any job, there are the parts where you also don't like. And sometimes you might even feel insecure about the things that you do. Yeah, which is the topic that we're going to talk about today, right? About our insecurities, which might come in the form of our jobs or even our personal lives and relationships. Totally unrelated topic, right? I want to find out about your MBTIs. So have you all done the test recently?
Not so recently, maybe a couple of years ago. Yeah.
That's really not very recent. I thought not recent is like a few months. Okay.
I think it changes over the years, right? So I think normally it's either ISFP or ISFJ for me.
P and J very different, right?
Yeah,
Perceiving.
pursuing. But I think normally I get around the 48-52%, so it's quite close.
Maybe you can go try again, then see if your result is still as like consistent as last time. Then Jane, I know you do a lot of these MBTI things with your friends, right?
Last time I was quite into it. But then I think the last time I took it was a year ago or something.
Huh?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, then I'm surprised. I thought you were the type that
Yeah.
do every week, man.
Every week change.
See your personality change every week.
No, but did it change like if you retook it?
There was once when I took it. Okay, so I'm originally an INFP. But then there was once I took it, it became like an INFJ. But then most of the time it's INFP.
Do you agree with that? Like the description of all the different...
Most of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Rachel, what's your...
I'm an ISTP.
ISTP? Same.
Yeah.
I'm also ISTP. Can you...
It's
Wait.
so fun.
You're I?
Yeah,
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm very sure.
You
Your energy
don't-
level.
I'm like
You don't
70,
sound like an I.
I'm like 76%.
Wow, so strong.
Yeah, very strong.
Can-
All my points are all very strong.
Actually,
Like,
like-
all
Also,
60,
actually,
70.
yeah, 70 plus.
I don't have any like 50 ones.
Is your I also very like
Yeah.
towards the...
78, 80, that
Yeah,
kind.
Very high.
Yeah.
Mine's
Like-
like just 52, like that. They
No,
can't
like
remember.
they indecisive lah.
No, no,
They
no,
don't know
no,
which
no,
one
no.
to choose. Then they neutral. Oh, maybe a little bit. maybe a little
We
bit.
are the
Wow,
best of
judgy, yeah.
both worlds. No, we can be
They
introvert,
want both.
extrovert.
Ambivert.
Jane,
And
I
yes, the need
Jane, I
to
can
be
understand she I, but Rachel, a bit hard to believe that you are introvert. Like everywhere you go, right?
No,
you are hurt. You are hurt
no.
everywhere you go.
Maybe she's just
It's
loud.
just
But
church.
then,
Oh,
It's just
but outside you are.
Yeah.
how
more
are you like with
introverted.
your friends outside?
No, like I'm still loud lah, but like no,
Then how
like
you
new
come to-
environment, I'm very quiet.
So both of us are T,
I-
right?
uh,
Both are like the thinker,
oh,
thinker
oh.
type. Then Jane and Faster are more feeling
Yes.
F type.
Yep.
Okay, so I think that's very interesting because I think that would really provide a lot of different perspectives on the topic that we're going to talk about today. So I think insecurities has been like a concept or topic that we don't talk so much about it when we were younger. But as we are older, we understand this idea and then we reflect more and find out about our own insecurities. So when you think of this word insecurities, right, what actually comes to mind?
It's like something that you feel inferior about yourself.
I think maybe to add on to be a bit stronger, I think someone who feels that they are not good enough.
Ah,
Yeah, I think better.
okay.
Yeah.
Not good enough.
Yep.
Rachel, eh?
Things I don't like about myself.
Ah, okay.
Oh.
So things that you don't like, they become like your insecurities.
Yeah.
For me, it's just something I'm not confident about lah, in general. Yeah, and then I might fear other people, the way people think about me, or yeah, maybe even how I perceive myself in certain areas where I don't really like lah. So, are there any insecurities that y'all feel comfortable sharing about?
I think feeling not good enough is something that I have felt as insecurity. I still remember when I was graduating soon before I became a pastor. My friends told me, "Oh, you're doing very well in school, right? You'll be a great pastor." And then I said, "Oh, but compared to the rest of pastors, I'm like the worst." So I realized that I have this insecurity that felt this sense of comparison and putting down myself. Yeah.
So is it like a very like natural thought that comes to you when people maybe praise you or something, then it goes into a slightly negative comparison where you feel like you say I'm good, but actually
Yes.
I don't feel that way
Right,
because
right.
I compare to someone who is better.
Yeah, I think so. I think it was something that perhaps I had over the years, but I think probably in more recent years I recognize it, then start to try to tackle it. Yeah. It's normal that other people are better, right? So you just accept that normal, right? And you don't realize that it's actually unhealthy or that you shouldn't
Okay.
feel that way. Yeah.
Because you think about it every day, so it becomes like normal.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
part of
yeah,
the norm.
Yeah. I think so.
Okay.
I agree with what Pastor Cherong said about comparing with people because I find myself doing that a lot also. Maybe when I was much younger in like secondary school or poly, I had a lot of insecurities on my physical appearance. Yeah, so I will
okay.
compare with the girls around me lah. Another insecurity that I had, even up till now, is that because just now we talked about MBTI, right? And then I shared that I am an introvert. So especially in poly, I had this insecurity that I was very quiet. When I was in poly, there were a lot of like camps and things like that, and then there will be a lot of people who are very loud.
Like Rachel, confirm. You are the one that you are the type to make Jane insecure.
Oh no!
Yeah, so I wanted to be like them.
But those thoughts, like, did they go away after like as you get older or
I think I'm more aware of it now.
okay. So it's like
So,
similar to Pastor
yeah.
Chen Rong.
I know it when it comes, and I can kind of like regulate it in a
Okay.
way.
I think that's like a helpful thing, right? Being able to recognize it. And then also, if you have it, how then do you overcome it? Because I think everyone has insecurities. Actually, does everyone have insecurities?
Most likely.
Are there
think-
people that know insecurities?
Like, I think they're narcissistic.
Narcissistic, like
But it's another way to cope, right? With
Oh yeah,
that
true,
type of
true, true,
insecurity,
true.
right?
I feel like some people they're so insecure
Yeah.
that they portray themselves as someone who's not insecure. at
Yeah,
all.
yeah. It's a way of
Actually, they're
coping.
very insecure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's another way of
yeah,
coping.
you guys,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
They will like kind of claim that they are not something.
Yeah.
But they will keep talking about it
Mm.
to.
Then there's the other extreme where you humble brag so that you feel better also.
Mm.
Yeah.
Humble.
Humble brag.
Yeah. So it's
Like
like on one hand you tell people you're good so that you feel better about yourself.
Uh-huh.
On the other hand, there's people who like they need to say they're not so good, then they feel better about themselves. So there's different
Oh.
ways lah.
Okay, okay.
Coping with your
Okay.
insecurity.
So it's like people praise them, then they're like, no lah,
Yeah.
actually not. But then inside they feel good.
yes. So I think different
Oh, is
ways
that
to
called
cope.
humble bragging?
Yeah.
Wow, crap, do I do that?
Maybe
Yeah.
he's insecure.
I think there are different ways to cope lah, right? Yeah.
No, because when just now you mentioned like one description, right? Like I feel like I can kind of relate to it. Even as I was asking, like, do you have insecurities? Then I'm thinking to myself, like, do I have insecurities? I can't really like pinpoint a particular thing. Yeah. So then what you just said about like some people who portray themselves as those insecurities, right? Is actually people who might be insecure. I'm just thinking like, is that me? Yeah.
But what about your?
Me?
Yeah.
Like my insecurities? I think one of my biggest insecurities would be like my acne. Because when you're a kid, you don't have it. And then when you have it, you're like, what? Why? I don't think it affected me so much, but I think as it got worse, it did affect me. It never got to a point where I wouldn't leave the house. But I would have thoughts like, I don't want to leave the house because my face looked like this today. But I would still leave the house because I have no choice. But I would still have that thought. And another insecurities I think would be like my thighs. Because when I was a kid, I was super skinny. I was lanky. Then I did trampoline gymnastics. So when you do tram, your thighs have to be bigger so that you can like jump. And then actually I never thought about it before. Until one day my auntie came up to me and then she said, wow, your thighs very big.
Wow, damn
Then
rude.
after that, I was like, yeah, then she was like, what
So
happened? She was like,
direct.
what happened to your thighs? Why your thighs so big? Like last time your thighs so skinny. Then after that I was like, oh, they are. So obviously I was a bit like taken
Wow,
aback
that's
lah.
quite savvy.
So I didn't think about it until like it got pointed out. And then when it got pointed out, then I started to think about it. Then I was like, yeah, like my thighs look very big. Then like sometimes I like look at like photos of myself when I was younger, and I was like, oh yeah. Then you see the comparison. Then you don't want it to get to you, but like it still gets to you because you start to think about it, and then suddenly it's like fills your mind, you know.
So actually your insecurity started because of someone. Like someone caused this
Yeah,
insecurity.
low key.
So this is one of the ways that you have insecurities from some kind of trauma. Yeah.
Okay.
Trauma.
Yeah, you could consider it as a trauma. lah. Somebody caused something to feel hurt or then you start.
It
to
might
feel-
just be like a passing comment or passing
Sure,
statement, right?
Like for example,
But then-
right, how you look or how you things like that. Yeah.
So actually like you're normal, you're perfectly fine with yourself.
Yeah.
But then someone make it as if you're
yeah, like
weird.
someone points something out, and then you start to think about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now that I think about it, I was, because you mentioned acne, right? I think, I don't know if the camera can see, my face actually got a lot of craters. Last time when I was younger, I had a lot of pimples. And then at that time, I don't know why, it was like only me among my classmates who had a lot of pimple. So then I didn't really like it, right? So I do scratch, gay kiang. So that's why I got a lot of scar, right? So actually, okay, that's not very related, but my friend was very rude. He saw my pimple, he said, right, he saw my pimple, you just take a knife and just cut off one. Okay, but yeah lah. I mean, I think it's probably meant as a joke, but yeah, I didn't think much about it at that time. But I do think that subconsciously I cared a bit more about my appearance. But I think one good thing was that I was in a guy school. So in a guy school, you know, it's like not to impress, you know, don't have to look for anyone. So yeah, so I mean all the guys what, right? So they say lor, didn't really think much about it. But then when I went on to like JC, then I wouldn't say like I was insecure, but I was more mindful of my appearance and things like that. But not to the extent of I feel inferior, I think. Yeah.
On the topic of skin, I have eczema, and because of that, right, because I will often turn red when it's hot and stuff. So over the years, I always get made fun of, and that actually affects me to become insecure in that way. Like for example, as in poly, people will say like, "Why you tomato or why you so always shy, so shy always," that kind of thing. Then in NS, right, I think I did something that probably you never see before because of I had an excuse from sun, so I carry umbrella. Wow, then they call this umbrella boy. Right? So there were all this kind of stigmatization, right? So it became a bit of it affects you lah. Although you don't care, but deep inside it still affects you lah. Yeah, you try not to care, but
Caring about appearance, I would think that it's something that everyone going through like the teenage years. Sometimes it doesn't even end at teenage years, right? When you go into like young adults, you still think about it. And do you think that actually social media and things like that actually cause people to feel more insecure?
yeah, I think so because I mean like when I was still a youth, I remember friends who would be like checking how many likes they get. They'll be, hey, go like, I need to reach certain like count, you know, that kind of thing.
Wow.
So it's like, you have this kind of like, if I don't reach this like count, then I don't feel
I
like...
went through that.
Yeah. So I think it's a usual process many of us go through. Right?
At the end of the podcast, you answer whether you think you're insecure because you.
Nah, but I do for fun lah. I just see like, I got more likes than you. But
I don't know if it's still a thing now, lah, but Same thing when I was in poly. A lot of people would like post pictures on Instagram, right? And then they would like, and then people will comment a lot. And then they will put like a lot of emojis, like the fire emoji and all that.
Ah.
So that kind of became like a measurement of how good looking you are. Or
I have never
Yeah.
once received a fire emoji in my life.
Okay, we go find his Instagram now and send
I have
him fire
never
emojis
received-
in
we
his
need to
comment
help him,
section.
help him.
My only post that had a lot of comments, right,
Ah.
is when there was a time I had center parting.
Ah.
And then the comments was like, please don't do center parting. Which is why my hair today, I was not forced. I was strongly encouraged to wax my hair so that it looks a bit neater. Yeah.
So do you think it looks neater? You comment down
Comment.
below.
And 5 stars for
Whatever, it's
Daniel's
okay.
hair, 5 stars.
and later it made me insecure. Wow. I go
No,
and cry.
you must say it's good, okay? You must
Yeah,
say it's
bad-
good.
bad one don't
Thank
say,
you very
okay?
much. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. If nothing good to say, don't say thank you. Thank you.
Okay. I think other than appearance, right? Maybe as we get older also, the things that make us feel insecure is also like our studies, our career and work, right? Have you ever felt insecure about your professional life? Maybe in terms of academics or in terms of your work. Okay, when I was studying, right, I was in a okay school, but my results were not very okay. Yeah, my results actually were quite bad lah. Okay, but at that time, honestly, I didn't really think much about it. So I know of friends who like get very affected when they don't do well. That's why it puzzles me, right, when people cry over their results. Like, I don't get it. I really don't get it. Because it's like, I have one test only, ma, right?
Like the world is not over.
Yeah, right. But I mean, if it's like for a major exam, maybe like O level, A
right.
level, you don't do as well as okay, fine. Then I can understand. But normal like class tests and all that, they really get very affected. But for me, I don't lah. I'm not sure is it because I didn't really compare with others. But I think what affects me is whether I feel like I am valuable at work, whether I'm contributing. So when I do see people that are contributing more, I have a tendency to go and compare. Like, hey, that person's like much better. They're contributing more, and then like, hey, I should be doing the same thing also.
Perhaps I think it depends on your perspective, right?
Mm.
I ever felt this way before. It's like when you fail, right, then you feel like you let down your family, right? Wow. So it's that
extent, ah.
So it's like
Serious?
because of that,
Wow.
then you feel sad, right? Because they have certain expectations, right? For example, they're like, I never expect you to get A, just ask you to pass only. Then you're like, wow, very sad.
Oh,
So there's that kind of level, of insecurity in the sense that you're like, wow, so chui, cannot get F9, cannot get C6, that kind of thing.
Were there some like pressures or expectations on you that made you feel this way?
Yeah, so I think another thing that causes insecurities, which has to do with life traps, which is normally caused by family background. In one of the books, there's like 11 common life traps. So most people, because I mean, as well-meaning as all parents are, naturally there's always imperfections since we live in imperfect world. And I think that's probably what caused for myself to have some of these insecurities.
Maybe that's why I never show my parents my results.
That's
So they don't they don't compare to
Don't
anyone.
compare then, okay.
I-
No insecurity.
I only show them the ones that are okay.
Wow.
Oh,
The
really?
ones that do badly don't show.
Sign one, might have to sign the results.
Don't have lah. In
Wow.
secondary school, no, don't.
Nice,
Oh
nice.
yeah, secondary school no more.
Okay. What about Jane?
Actually, it's the same as yours. When I see that someone is doing more or doing better, then I will tend to compare myself with them a lot. And then I will feel very lousy about myself.
I think for me, okay, in terms of results purely and schooling purely, I never really did well in primary school. And then like everyone around me was doing well. And okay, like my teacher a bit mean, okay. Cause my Chinese
the
was
teacher.
so bad. No, wait, hear the story first,
Okay.
okay. My Chinese was so bad. Cause I went to an international school. So like the Chinese you learn, right, it's like not it, okay. So because my Chinese was bad, I never did well in any of the Chinese tests. And then apparently it was a very easy Chinese test lah. Then the teacher said like, oh, so many people got like full marks. Oh, but the lowest mark was 11 out of 20. Then I got my paper right. I was the 11 out of 20. And then I was like, why did she have to, call me out, Then people obviously, in primary school, hey, what's your result now? Oh, I 11 out of 20.
So
Right.
it's you,
No,
you're
it's
the,
me lah, I'm
you're
the
the
lowest
one.
lah.
Very hurtful.
So I got like called out frequently for like my bad grades. So I don't know if it's because of that. Like I completely blocked it out. So whatever grades I got, I did not care. But I guess it helps. I didn't get like the parent one where like my parent were like, oh, you do bad. Then it's like, oh, why you do bad? Why you do so badly? Like my parents, maybe because from the beginning it wasn't good lah. Then they like low-key just accepted that my grades just weren't very good. So even as I like went into secondary school and my grades kind of got better, it didn't really mean much to me. So I didn't really feel that way. But I think in terms of poly, I'm starting to feel it a little bit.
The way she said that, it reminds me of this, I think, proverb that says, never judge a fish by the ability to climb the tree, right? So it's basically it's like if you judge a fish by the ability to climb the tree, you will forever believe it's like stupid, right? So in this sense, right, Rachel may have thought that she doesn't study well, but she can do things like trampoline well and other things, right? So if you look at the things that she does well, then it's correct, right? Rather than looking at things that is not your natural affinity. Yeah.
I really like what you said because everyone has their strengths and their own weaknesses, right? And it's like if you're comparing your weakness to someone's strength,
Then,
and then you wonder why you're bad at it.
yeah.
It's like if I wonder why I can't do a split like Rachel,
Yeah,
and it's
then
like
you will
wow,
forever
be
be sad.
depressed and all that.
Yeah.
No, thank you, no, thank you. I'm too old for that now. So I want to talk about another aspect of our life where insecurities can form, which is our relationships or friendships, lah. Have you ever experienced or faced insecurities in friendships or relationships before, or rather, have you seen someone or some other relationship where the guy or the girl is like really insecure about the relationship or their partners?
I think in primary school, I felt this a lot.
Relationship.
No,
friendship.
friendship, between friendships.
Okay.
Like there was this like best friend thing going on. It was so crazy.
I don't friend you.
I said,
you
yeah,
don't friend-
you're not my best friend anymore. Then it's like your world is crumbling just because that person said that, and it was so crazy. So like, let's say this is my best friend. Oh, but then this best friend go and spend so much time with each other's best friend. Then you're like, oh, I'm no longer her best friend. I don't know. It was really crazy.
But someone I know, right? They were insecure because their partner would like go, let's say, go to a club, or right, they hang out with the opposite sex, right? But then this person has been known for cheating, so they have to go and stalk the person's like Instagram, IG, and check, right? Then found out that really the person
Red
do
flag,
something,
red
right?
flag.
So what I'm trying to say is that right, insecurity also has its merits at time, right? Because it also warns you, right? Like this person maybe some red flag, then must check out, right? Cannot just everything blindly just believe, right? But whereas on the other hand, this same friend I had, later when they had another relationship, because the other person is not like that, so they have a trust already, they didn't need to go and check this person, they just let the person go with their opposite sex friend, doesn't matter. So I think there is points where insecurity helps in the sense that maybe in a sense where it alerts you to things that you need to watch out for, right?
So from the Bible's point of view, what do you think insecurities mean?
So insecurities is another form of imperfection. So we live in a world of sin, a sinful environment. So that's why there are things like this. I think, for example, if we look in Matthew 3:17, where Jesus' baptism, God's voice was saying that this is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased. Right? So God also says the same for us, right? We are His children. He loves us so much. He died for us. But many times we also doubt, right? We struggle. We have these insecurities, right? That's because we live in a world of sin. Whereas Jesus was very self-assured in his identity found in God. When the devil tried to tempt him, he had three main temptations to challenge his identity. Right? The first was to turn stones into bread, to use his power for self-gratification. Right? The second was to prove his identity through his ego by jumping off the temple. And the third was to gain worldly power through false compromise by worshipping Satan. So all this was challenging his identity. Are you who you say you are? Right? But Jesus was certain and assured in his identity in God. He don't have to prove anything to the devil because he knows God has called him his beloved Son in whom he's well pleased. So if we are assured in that, we don't actually worry about our insecurities. But many times we struggle, we live in this fallen world. So I think that is the idea we're at.
So basically, insecurities is your identity being challenged.
Right.
So if you're not sure in your identity, that's when insecurities happen.
Right.
I actually read a book once. It was on comparison. So it talked about that. So it says that comparison happens when you are not secure in your core identity. Like you don't know what God made you for. So the suggestions that they gave was to first recognize what your skills and talents are, because God gave us all different skills and talents, right? But then earlier I shared about how I wanted to be extroverted, right? But the reality is I'm made to be an introvert. But then I kept trying to be somebody I wasn't. So the suggestion that they gave was to recognize what your gifts are.
Linking back to just now how you shared about sometimes in your job you feel like, why am I not doing enough? I can be doing more, right? So it's quite interesting that you say that because for Pastor Chen Rong and Jane, you all work in a Christian environment, right? If you don't mind sharing, like, how do the insecurities exhibit? In what areas do you tend to have these thoughts of like, oh, I'm not doing enough, I'm not good enough?
I think it becomes more apparent when, let's say we are in a big group. or like at a camp
Okay.
camp setting.
Mm.
And then usually at camps, you see a lot of people like just going around mingling with everybody, right? Then I start to get that kind of feeling when I feel like a bit intimidated or scared to go up to this big group to talk to them. But then what I realized is that because as an introvert, I do better with like smaller groups or like one-to-one, right? So it's something that has become very intentional. Like I try to just maybe go up to one person, for example, or like a smaller group. Or maybe I approach someone else who's also a bit quieter.
So, Pastor Sharon, do you also see members in the church who have insecurities even when they are doing ministry and contributing in church?
Yeah, I think definitely the case. Insecurities doesn't disappear just because you are Christian or follow God, right? I think it's something that we have to actually address, right? I think it's the same idea as sin doesn't disappear just because you become a Christian or follow God. Right?
Actually, even for myself, I think I'm quite active in the church. I try to help out whenever I can. For a period of time, I had insecurities about being a worship leader. People tell me that, hey, you can sing, what? But can is very subjective, you know. I can sing, yes, I can like make a sound, right? But like it's not nice. And I think this happens when I compare with people. You know, like compare with people like Jane. Jane can sing very well, right? Yeah. Then I'm like, oh, if only I can sing better. You know, like not to the point where I actually go do something about it, and I don't become resentful about it. But those thoughts do come to my mind, and I still make those comparisons, especially when I see like a more maybe charismatic worship leader or someone who can lead the congregation better. Yeah, then I'll be thinking, I want to be more like them. So those thoughts do come to mind also.
Like, can I also share? So, because last time we worked together, right? And then because you're more like active and like can go out 24 hours a day, that kind.
Power, super powered.
Yeah, so I wanted to be like that also. So there was actually, even last time in poly and at the early part of being at this job, I tried to make myself like that. So I kind of like packed my schedule to the brim without any rest. And I realized that I was so drained by the end of it because I felt insecure that I wasn't like Daniel or like anyone else
I
who is like
contributed to her insecurities.
no, like,
no.
I mean, there are a lot of people like that in church also lah. So I will compare myself with them. I would think like, oh, how come I cannot be as active as them? How come I need more like downtime?
Yeah, I think serving in church is actually one way that sometimes people use to escape their insecurities. Right? Like I think some, including myself in the past, like you will serve more so that you feel that you're doing more. So to feel that whole that you feel like I'm doing something, I'm doing a good job, right? But actually you realize that it's just to make yourself feel better, right? You didn't feel secure, right, in who you are or who your identity in Christ is. So actually, no matter how much you do, right, you will never reach the point you feel good enough. Yeah. And I thought this verse in Ephesians 2:10, it says, "For we are God's masterpiece," or workmanship, depending on your translation. He has created us anew in Christ Jesus, so we can do the good things He has planned for us long ago. I remember this verse very fondly. It's like, oh, we are God's masterpiece, workmanship. It's like, yeah, this feeling is like, wow, you know, God has already thought to do good things in me, right? Even though I feel like maybe terrible now, I couldn't see how it could be done. And I think knowing that God called me who I am, despite my flaws, my weaknesses, my failures and insecurities, I think that warms my heart to know that, hey, you know, even though God knows all the mess I have, He didn't give up on me, right? And because He don't give up on me, maybe I shouldn't give up on myself either, right? And look beyond the insecurity. So I think that identity in Christ helps us to be able to move forward, right? Otherwise, no matter what I try to do for Him, it can never feel that whole that I'm trying to feel, right, with my insecurities.
Actually, I don't know whether it's like linked to this verse, but then I remember there's also a verse in the Bible that says the enemy comes to steal, kill, and destroy, right? So when I think of that verse, right, it's like because this verse, what was this verse again?
Ephesians 2:10.
Yeah, so it talks about how we are God's masterpiece. We are all created in a special and different way from one another. But then Satan is always there to try to steal that away from us, like preventing us from doing what we were created to do.
Actually, I thought something interesting, right, is that a few verses before that is Ephesians 2:8, which is we are saved by grace through faith, right? So because we know that we have the assurance of being saved by grace through faith, then God created us as a masterpiece. Right? I think that's very important because many times, right, I think even as Seventh-day Adventists or Christians, sometimes we have this doubt of our assurance of salvation. Right? We wonder, oh, am I good enough? Have I done enough?
Yes.
Maybe I never keep the commandments well, right? Have I confessed my sin later? I knock down, then die, whether go heaven, right? You know, there's all these,
Go hell.
there's all these worries,
Hell
right?
topic again.
Yeah. There's all these insecurities, right? I think especially within our church, right? And I think that all stems from the belief, right, and the lack of assurance, right? Because you have this insecurity, you don't truly 100% believe that God's grace is enough, right? What is my part? What can I do, right? There's always this insecurity. So I think until you fully embrace that God's grace is enough, right? No matter what I do, I cannot make Him love me more. I cannot make Him do anything more for me. He loves me just the same, no matter how good or how terrible I am. Right?
So with that, like, how do you think we can deal with these insecurities? Like, so you talk about like identity, right? When we're insecure, it's because we're not sure of our identity.
Right.
So I guess how do we be sure of our identity?
How do we come to that stage where it's like, I know that I'm God's masterpiece, right? How do we come to that identity so that we are so confident of ourselves in how like God sees us and that overcomes all?
I think the first answer is a journey, right? It takes time, right? I think as you spend more time in God, whether in prayer, right? You talk to Him more, you see that, you know, like many times I messed up, right? But I was like so odd, like God never give up on me, right? Let's say a last minute prep sermon, right? Then God helped me out, right? Then
report this pastor.
then you see like God didn't give up on me, you know. He still helped me out, make it good. I said, wow, you know, I don't deserve all these things, right? I deserve to fail and look terrible, right? But God still cared for me. And I think, not saying to purposely do bad, but I think in your growth with God, right, whether it's through prayer or when you read the Bible, right, you get to understand God more. Right? When you read on the cross, I think one of the youth young adults was sharing me, when you appreciate more what Jesus did for you, right? On the cross, it's like, wow, how could He say, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they're doing, right? How could He say such a thing? Right? How could He dare, and you look at how much He loved each of you personally, right? Now it cannot be about the whole world, about you. When you appreciated that more, I think you start to understand, wow, I'm so special to God. And because it means so much to me, to Him, then I must be something of value.
I think also one thing that you mentioned just now is also the first step in solving any problem, right, is to first recognizing and accepting that that is a problem. Because we might be feeling all those negative thoughts, but we don't actually recognize it as a problem. And in fact, I think what's worse is when we think that that's normal. Like it's normal to think that way and it doesn't need any rectifying. I think then that is moving in the wrong direction.
Actually, I also read that when you compare with someone, right, it is also like you not being humble. Because we think that they are better than us, right? Why would it make us less humble? But in a way, we are also like deciding who's better and who's not. Yeah.
So you may decide you're better than someone else, so it makes you not
Yeah.
humble. So.
Then you don't feel as insecure. But actually, who are you to even decide that, right?
Okay, that's an
interesting.
interesting perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think comparison works both ways, right? To make yourself feel better or make yourself feel worse, right? To compensate for it. I remember I was back in uni and then we had a Bible quiz during our AY Adventist Youth Afternoon, right? And when we did the quiz, right, after I finished, I got first, right? I won the quiz. And then when it had people start congratulating me and all that, and I started to feel this sense of pride well up within me, right? And I realized that it's probably because, right, there's this desire, right, to be better than others and all that. And at that moment, I prayed to God in my heart, God, please take this feeling away. I don't want to feel like this. I keep praying for a couple of minutes. And eventually, God took that feeling away, right? And then I started to feel at peace with Him. I think God answers prayers many times when we desire to, right? And I think it starts there, right? My insecurity helped to disappear at that point of time, overcompensating for needing to feel better than others, right? With the answered prayer right at that moment, right? Of course, sometimes it may take a longer journey, but I believe that prayer works. And if you feel insecure next time, you should try, right? I think that God will also answer you, I believe, just as He's answered me.
What would you advise someone who has this tendency to just like to compare? Then they just natural instinct to feel inferior. Yeah, how would you encourage them to get out of this habit of always trying to compare with others?
One of the things is to perhaps go through the idea of life traps I talked about. There's another book also has to do with emotionally healthy spirituality. I think some of the church people have done it. I think it uncovers the different emotions you had faced growing up and try to tackle it, because I think some of these things need to be unpackaged. You need to realize what are these underlying things that cause you to feel the way you are. So I think going through this with a mentor and all this will help you to recognize what are these different things that cause you to feel that way. And then as you recognize that, you can find ways to tackle it.
It's like therapy.
I suppose it is in one
But
way.
it is,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
Therapy,
It is, 'cause
right?
it's a
you
like-
find your
Yeah.
trauma.
Yeah, it's a
and
journey
then-
to recovery, right? To solve this thing.
So I think other practical ways include counseling, right? You can go to a counselor, share with them, then they may propose some suitable ways to deal with it. I think another thought is to do with support group, right? And I think it's beautiful that sometimes when you feel down, there'll be someone to say, hey, you're not doing that bad, you're doing okay, And I think it's reassuring to know that they have your side. Right? When you have close friends, right, that embrace you for who you are, it will help you with your insecurities, right? Yeah, I think one of my close friends said this once. Might sound a little out there, but he said something to this effect of, right, even if you killed someone, I still love you for who you are. Yeah. And of course, I never done such a thing. But the
No one suspected you, huh?
but the feeling of acceptance, right? No matter what terrible thing you have done, right, is so beautiful, right? And I think it's important to have this kind of support group for people who accept you for all the mess you have, no matter how terrible you are. And that's how God also embraces us, right? I think that helps you to, in your identity and comparison, to know that you have friends who are there for you. Yeah.
But can I ask, right? Like, when does it get to a point where you need to rely on other people's affirmation, right? Because that's something that I also struggle with. It goes both ways, right? When they like criticize, I get affected. But then after I get encouraged, then the smallest criticism will make me feel like so bad about myself again. So how do we like not let other people's words affect us too much or not be too dependent on what they say?
Having friends tell you that you're doing a good job and affirm you. I don't think when your friends say that is just saying for fun. I would like to believe that when people tell you that you're doing a good job, it's because they really think so. And I think that's a source of encouragement to see that whatever you are doing is being appreciated, your efforts are being recognized. It's one of the love languages that we have, and we do need that to feel loved. So I think it's not so much about relying on those words all the time to feel secure, but when there are times when you feel down, you need the extra push, the extra encouragement that will prevent you from falling onto the other side where you feel so terrible about yourself because you think that you are doing such a bad job. When actually people from the side, when they see it, they actually recognize it that you're actually doing good.
I think it's a multifaceted thing, right? So on one hand, you need to be you're sure of your identity in God, right? Because that cannot be replaced by other people. Right? On the other hand, you have friends that guide you on this journey. Right? If you remember Jesus, right, before he was went to crucify, God sent not only angels to support him, but if you remember, he also sent Moses and Elijah, right? Human companions who could identify with his struggles through life's journey. I think that's so important, right? To realize that, it's people who can understand where you are, accept you for who you are, and then they can also encourage you. So I think it works both ways, On one hand, identity, God, on the other hand, friends who will resonate with you and guide you through this journey.
So do you guys think that the church is like a safe space, or does it support people in talking about their insecurities?
I want to say no, because sometimes we feel that insecurities is like airing off our dirty laundry. We don't like to share these out things in a public space. So I think part of it is because we don't feel safe enough in like a whole church setting where you talk about these kind of things. But I feel like within our small circles of friends, at least for me personally, I feel that it is safe to share my insecurities.
Nowadays, I think growing in a journey that people start to be more supportive. Like, for example, I shared a couple of weeks ago about forgiveness and some struggles, right? And I think there was another youth who shared about bringing broken vessels. I think people were more open, right, to accept all these insecurities that we had, right? And people didn't like throw stones or complain, right? So I think there is this progression of growth. But of course, you're right that generally we don't talk about these things in public. But I think we do have friend circles, like support groups and things that we can talk about in our like support groups, like discipleship groups, and so on and so forth. So I think there is that element, but of course it can be better, that's for sure.
It's actually helpful that we grow in this direction because helping people to acknowledge their insecurities and talking about it, like we said, right, is the first step in helping them to address it. And it can help us to be more spiritually healthy, also emotionally healthy if we have friends that can support us. So yeah, I agree with Pastor that like the church as a whole should move in a direction where more people have groups that they can actually talk about this to.
That's why you should join us in our Discord in the description below.
Through the Discord, we aim to have a platform where we can share some of these insecurities. Of course, we might not be willing to share a lot or too private stuff or too deeply, but I think it's a start, right? Where we can start to build this community where people are comfortable or getting more and more comfortable to share, and then we can support one another. So, yep, do join our Discord channel, and then we can have some discussions, which I think you guys will be on it as well, right?
Yeah,
to,
yeah, we will.
to share your thoughts and all that. So feel free to just share whatever you want. The thought that we can all live with is that no matter how much we think that we are not good enough, God thinks that we are good enough,
Yes.
and we are His masterpiece.
Yes.
And God loves us no matter our flaws, no matter what our weaknesses are. And I think that's something that we can really take comfort in.
So how about you guys? What is your final summary for
Or any takeaway message you can have, like just one takeaway that our viewers can have from this podcast.
I think it's important to believe that God believes in you, right? And we also believe in you, right? Sometimes you may not believe in yourself, but I think it's very important because we often see ourselves for who we are, but God sees you for who you can become. He sees that potential in you. So don't see yourself for where you are, but who God has called you to be, the masterpiece created to do good works.
I think mine is very similar, is that you are special and everyone is created very differently from each other. I also remember the verse, right, that says that we are all members of one body, right? And like if you think of our body parts, right, it's like the function of the eye and the function of the ear is different. So you can't compare it this way also. I guess it's to accept yourself for who you are and find out what God created you to be.
So thank you, Pastor and Jane, for sharing with us, and thank you so much for joining our podcast.
Yeah, thank you.
And we'd like to thank the listeners for joining us in this podcast, and we'll see you on the next episode of Head to Heart. Bye bye. But I feel like because of that, like I kind of
Possessive.
you tell me to slow down, then I cannot remember what.
Okay, I cut in first.
Okay, but
Wait, call out the camera.